Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias.
This was a video that I really was not planning on doing. What we have here is the Cold Steel FGX Wasp. This is I think this is the second Cold Steel that I have bought in my life. The first one was a Kudu, which I have given away. This is the only Cold Steel that I actually own. I paid $7 for this, and I bought it when I was buying some other stuff from Smoky Mountain Knife Works, and I used this just to round it up so I could get some free shipping. That's really the whole purpose of me buying it. Well, that was one of the reasons I bought it. The other reason is because, well, I like daggers, and Cold Steel also makes another version of this, which is just known as the Cold Steel Wasp. Now, the difference between the FGX Wasp and the other Wasp is the other Wasp is made out of steel and has a handle that is made out of the same material as this knife. This knife is in the FGX series by Cold Steel, and what FGX stands for, I don't really know. I thought it might have had something to do with the kind of material this is made out of, which is a thermoplastic known as Grivex, and I've also seen it listed as Grivery. I don't know which one it is, or if Grivex and Grivery are the same thing. I'm just not familiar enough with it. It is also one of the knives that is based, the FGX series is the series of knives by Cold Steel that are referred to as non-metallic defense weapons. So these are not made of metal. That was one of the reasons why I was thinking maybe I don't want to show this or not. But there are numerous videos on YouTube that promote the FGX series, and they don't point out a few things that I find very problematic about this knife, and one of them is extremely problematic to me, and one of the reasons why this is a knife that I am definitely going to keep under lock and key, and it's not the reason that most people will probably think. Now, there was another review that I saw of this knife, this particular one, the Wasp, that said, well, there was a metal ring that comes on the back. The person said he was going to cut that off, which I already did. The ring was just kind of silly, and I do want to actually attach a proper lanyard into this. Might give it to Skip so he can keep it over in the, locked up over in the Volcano Club, because this is really something more like what you would find in the Volcano Club than over in my workbench area. But it is pretty cool, and it is well thought out for what it is. And that is, they promote it as a self-defense weapon. I'm just going to say it is a weapon. And you're talking about a plastic weapon, but if you notice, this does not bend too much. It has a little bit of flex to it. This blade is 3/8 of an inch thick in the middle. It is like a diamond-shaped blade. The tip is even more reinforced. Also, it's rounded, but it is also diamond-shaped. 7 inches long from here to the tip. The tip is a little blunted now because of the various things that I have plunged it through. I wanted to see just how penetrative this thing actually could be without actually shoving it through my hand. But I have no doubt that it would go right through my hand, especially when new. If it had never been plunged into anything else, this would easily go through my hand, or it would easily go into my stomach area. If it were to get in between ribs, it would go deep inside. I plunged it through double layers of cardboard. It went all the way to the hilt. I plunged it through plastic kitty litter containers. I'm talking about the heavy ones. It easily went about halfway through with no problem. The only problem with the kitty litter containers is because they were made out of plastic, the serrations here on the edge would get caught a little bit, and also it would seal up around the reinforced head here. Notice how it's got that head going on at the tip there, and it would catch there, so pulling it out was kind of difficult to pull it out of the heavy plastic. It would not be a problem to pull it out of soft tissue. At least I do not believe so. The handle, someone had mentioned that you've got the two torque screws in here. These are not torque screws. This entire handle is molded. It is not actually handles that are screwed and attached to the body. That's the way it is on the actual Wasp, but these scales, they're molded into the Grivix body. It is all just molded together, and what you actually seem to have are two pieces. The blade is slightly offset, if you can see here, but they have been pressed together while hot and then stamped out. These are just, that's why you see the mold line going down the middle here. But can you see there how this side of the blade looks? The serrations on this side, and then you see here on the top, and if we turn it over, you see the top and then the bottom here, and that's because they do not line up perfectly, and that adds to the sharpness of this area. Now you can run your finger over that without really cutting yourself or anything. I don't find it cutting cardboard too well either. However, if you were to swing this quickly at somebody and slash towards their face, I think this would definitely cause a laceration. You know, with speed and being moved, it would definitely cause lacerations and stuff. And I have noticed that when you know, just whacking at cardboard and pulling across, then it would definitely cut into the cardboard and stuff. And I think it would do the same thing with skin. But really what this is designed for is poking, and it's definitely a good stabber, and you've got 7 inches of blade to stab with. Now they pass it off as a self-defense weapon, but I see it more problematic than that, especially at the price of $7. To me, this looks purely as something that could be used as an offensive weapon. And I think just about anyone in law enforcement would also see this as an offensive type weapon, especially because it is non-metallic, which means this is something that could easily get past any kind of metal detector or something, especially once you move that metal ring. Yeah, you would pick it up in an x-ray machine, not as easy as you would metal, but you would definitely still pick up that outline in an x-ray machine most likely, and other kind of body scanning devices, but not with just a simple metal detector. And that's where I see it as a bit of a problem, because anyone who is out to do some kind of damage and is aware of something like this, and they are fairly common these days, they could easily get this through a metal detector at numerous locations, including schools. So that's one of the problems I see with this, making it, you know, and yeah, you can buy this on eBay and pretend you're over 18, and that's a problem. So I think it needs to be controlled a little bit better than they are. But more problematic for me than even the fact that these can defeat any kind of metal detector is the fact that they kind of look like a toy knife. And, you know, it's like, ooh, look, I got a toy knife just like my daddy's knife. And I could picture a kid thinking that this is not a deadly weapon when it is, because they've had other plastic knives or something, and not realize just how deadly this could be and could accidentally stab somebody with it. You know, when they're pretend fighting or something of that nature, or even if they were just slashing real quick with it, it could definitely hurt somebody, you know, a small kid. And that, you know, the fact that it's a knife, but it doesn't look like a knife, is one of the biggest problems I have with it. The fact that small children could easily mistake this as a toy. So if you have one of these things, I think you need to treat them with extra caution than you do with many of your other knives. This is something you definitely do not want a little kid to get a hold of, because they might think of it more as a toy than as an actual fighting tool. But in the right hands, you know, I can see how this could be very useful. If somebody, you know, but in the wrong hands, I guess that's the real problem. And I have a feeling these are more likely to fall into the wrong hands. It's a $7, you know, single-use dagger that can get past the metal detector. Imagine that in a school setting. So that's something that they don't talk about in all the other YouTube videos, and I think it is something that we as a knife community need to be aware of, that while we're looking at it as this is a really cool self-defense weapon, this is also a weapon that can be used very deadly by the wrong hands, and it is also one that is meant to be concealed, is very stealthy, and can get past things like metal detectors. And also, it kind of looks like a toy, and little kids might do the wrong thing with these, not meaning to. So definitely handle these things with care, and keep them out of the reach of any small children. Do not treat this as just a little movie prop or something like that, because these are deadly. With that said, I'll let you go. Sorry to be preachy about it, but I won't be buying another one of these. I won't be buying any of the other FGX knives. But I do like the way this looks, and I very well might be buying the Wasp, which is much more deadly than this, but at least it looks like a weapon. This almost looks like a toy.
And just one more thing. After completing this video you just watched, I went back and did some more penetration tests with the FGX Wasp, and I was less than impressed with it. The control is a heavy reinforced cardboard box that is lined with styrofoam, and the Wasp was able to penetrate that box all the way through to the hilt. I placed a layer of leather over the box and proceeded to again stab the leather now. 4 attempts were made, and the best attempt was about a 3-inch penetration with the leather. Next, I attempted to stab a double layer of burlap, and the knife was able to go through about 1.25 inches. And finally, I put the leather over the burlap, and the knife was basically able to penetrate maybe 3/4 inch. In short, any kind of heavy clothing will probably reduce the effectiveness of this Wasp and turn it into something that could cause harm but probably would not be lethal. So while many people have touted how effective these things are, they're really more like something that a mall ninja would really like. It's more of a novelty, it's not very effective as a weapon, and it still has those other negative attributes that I talked about. It is still something that is very stealthy, and someone could use it as a lethal weapon, just not effectively, and obviously small children could still mistake this as a toy. So to me there is no redeeming social value to the Wasp FGX other than as a novelty for a knife collection.
just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with Tobias. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.